Hi, I'm Rebecca, and welcome to my sewing room. This is Sew Be It. Today I'm using Gertie's Ultimate Dress Book, and we are making a pattern out of that. We're going to make the blue wool work dress. We're using blue and I'm not using wool, but I am using this pattern. So with Gertie's patterns, as I think I explained in the other video, that I used the same book. You use tracing paper or something. I use tracing paper, and I trace out the pattern piece in my size, because you can't cut the pattern pieces out because the papers are double-sided. Some of the pattern pieces, a lot of the pattern pieces are overlapped. Like there's facings inside of full skirt pieces, so really kind of weird. So you have to trace your pattern. So I did that, and I have my fabric all cut out, but I'm doing it a little bit different from what this picture shows. The picture is the dress is all one fabric. I actually have two fabrics. I'm not using wool, I'm using cotton. These are the two cotton pieces that I'll be using. I really like that burgundy color. It's really a color for fall. The skirt is going to be in this, as well as the cuffs and the collar. Then the bodice and my pockets, I'm adding pockets, will also be in the pattern. Then the bodice, this is the only thing in the maroon, and I thought it would make it look really fun. There is some button detail, 3 buttons up here and a button on each of the cuffs. So I found these buttons. I thought those would look really cute. So that's what I'm planning on using, and if I change my mind, I'll let you know. I have all of my pieces cut out. I do still have to cut out my inner facing for my cuffs, my collars, and my facings. So I'll do that before I actually start sewing. The first thing I'll have to do is to stay stitch my neckline, and I have to stabilize my zipper opening with fusible tape. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not sure I have the right stuff. We'll have to find out. And stitch the darts on the front and back of the bodice. So, I'll get all my interfacing and I'll stay stitch, and I may come back and show you how to stitch darts once I get there. Okay, got my neckline, stay stitched. My darts are done on the front and the back. Here, both pieces. I didn't reinforce the seam for the zipper yet. The pattern shows or calls for a lapped zipper, and I kind of want to do that anyways. So when I get the back seam of the skirt sewn, and when I press that, then I will use the interfacing to stabilize the back of this. So the next step is sewing the bodice together at the shoulder seams, the front and back at the shoulder and the side seams, and then we start to work on the sleeves. So the first thing is the underarm seam for the sleeve and the easing stitches around the top. So I'm going to do that, but then after that it's the cuff, and I will come back when it's time to do that, because I've never done that before. I'm going to show you. Okay, my next step is to make my cuff. One of my pieces has been interfaced, which is this one. This has not been interfaced. The book says the interfacing will be the outside of the cuff, so we'll be facing out, and then this other piece will be the facing of the cuff. So I need to make sure I remember that. I've never made cuffs before, So I'm following this step by step by what this book says. So using the cuff pattern, cut out 2 pairs of cuff pieces of fabric and 1 pair of interfacing. I've done that and I've applied my interfacing. Okay, pin 1 outer cuff piece to 1 facing cuff piece. Outer and facing cuff is what they mean. Right sides together, which I have them right there, and stitch along the long outer edge only. Stitch from one raw edge to the other. Trim and grade seam allowances, press toward the cuff facing and understitch. So it wants me to just stitch, pin and stitch this edge first, grade it, understitch it, and then go from there. So that's what we'll go ahead and do. So my first step here is to pin the seam. The next step is to stitch this seam. That is my seams finished. Then I have to trim and grade the seam allowance. Just 1 second. So lucky for me, I have a pair of applique scissors. Applique scissors have this long blade, so it will help you separate the layers of fabric. And I'm notorious for cutting through fabric that I want to make sure I keep on here. So applique scissors are really good to help you with that, to grade your seam. So you just stick the little blade right between your 2 layers and you go ahead and cut just like this. I'm still getting the hang of it, but this is so much easier, I think, than cutting through the fabric of the dress, because that's usually what I do. I usually cut a little hole. If you go fast, make sure you don't cut the thread or the seam there. There's that seam has been graded. So go ahead and do the other one. Next thing, press the cuff toward the facing. So we need to open it up like this and then press it this way because this is the facing. So I'll do that, and then we have to come back and understitch this. Okay, now we understitch, and when we understitch, we're gonna stitch as close as we can to this stitching and stitch those seam allowances together. One understitched, and I'll go ahead and do the other. Now, the next step, fold the cuff layers with right sides together, aligning the long edges. Pin the short ends of the cuffs. The understitched seam allowance should be folded against the outer cuff. Stitch the short ends, trim very close to the corner stitching so you get a nice point. Trim and grade the seam allowances, understitch short ends of the cuff as far as possible. Okay, so I need to pin my short ends. Now it's time to stitch my short side seams. Of all of my short edges sewn. All right, now I need to trim very close to the corner here on all of them. So you're basically snipping the corner off here. Just like that. Okay, then trim and grade seam allowances. So we get those applique scissors again, which of course you don't need applique scissors. You can use any smaller pair of scissors to cut this fabric. I just happen to have inherited a really nice pair of applique scissors, and I was gonna ask for them for Christmas. Applique scissors are not a cheap investment. When I looked them up on Joann's, Joann.com, they were $45. Of course, that's plus tax and shipping if you order them online instead of getting them at the store. I'm sure you could probably find them cheaper on Amazon, and I don't know how much this pair actually cost. Because this is an older pair. I know it was bought a long time ago, but it was taken well care of. So it's still nice and very, very sharp. Okay. I have all of my seams graded. Now it wants me to understitch the seam allowances as far as possible. I should, for the most part, be able to go all the way. So let's go ahead and do that. Now it says press the cuff from the underside, making sure, from the facing piece. So we need to turn this right side out now. Which really isn't too hard here, because it is one nice big piece. But I'm going to use my embroidery scissors and gently, so I don't actually poke through my fabric, I am going to poke that point out as much as I can here. Okay, so I do have some nice corners so far. That's one cuff. Now I need to press these and baste the bottom edge. So when I'm done, I will be back and we'll find out what the next step is. I'm all nice and ironed and my edge is basted. Barely see it, but it is there. So the next step is to attach the cuffs to the sleeves. So I actually haven't even pressed my underarm seams. So first I need to press my sleeve seams, and then I will be back and we will attach the cuffs to the sleeve. That's the word I'm looking for. I forgot to finish these seams this time. I am pinking my seams. So I need to pink these underarm seams and then press them. They are pinked and pressed. Now I need to turn them, well, I'm gonna do it one at a time. And I'm only gonna do one on video to show you. So turn them right sides out, okay, with the cuff facing against the sleeve. That is this side here. Yes, match the notches. I don't think I made the notches on my sleeve or on my cuff. Oh no. Oh, wait. They were on the ends, weren't they? No, they were in the middle. Hold on. Let me check this. Okay, that's what I thought. So my notches actually should be here at the ends or right here because these little things should be pointing out of the sleeve. So that's okay. We've got this. We can figure this out. All right. This one's the facing side. I'm going to turn it this way. And we're gonna pin, so here's a notch here, and I'm gonna pin literally the edge of the bottom edge of the cuff, the corner at that notch. And I'm going to pin all the way around and hopefully it fits at the end. We'll find out. Might need to do some easing. But again, we'll find out because I'm going to pin this right here next to it because that's supposed to pop out a little bit in the picture of the pattern. So let's try and see how it's this gonna do right here. That's okay, I can just ease it all in. I'm not worried about it at all. And then ease, pick it up and ease it in here. Tons of pins in here. Tons and tons of pins. But that's okay. Better to have more pins than you need than not enough. Have stuff moving around on you. That's not any fun either. So. And I think that'll actually look quite nice coming together right here. How is that edge gonna be finished? I know how it is, I just read through it all. All right, so next step then, uh-oh. I got a rabbit that's unwinding in here. Slide this baby on here, it just fits. Just barely fits, but that's okay. Now that I have that all stitched up, now with the cuff against the sleeve, stitch the seam allowance. Flip the cuff away from the sleeve and press the seam allowance to the inside. So I have to flip it and I have to press the seam allowance to the inside of the sleeve and then come back and understitch it. Now, from the outside, I need to understitch it, correct? Yeah, stitch seam allowance in place. Machine stitch. Stitch from the right side of the sleeve just to the left of the seam cuff. So, I can get this back on here. And I need to go just to the left. So just on, or maybe even in the ditch if I can get it, of the seam of the cuff. Trimmed, and now I should be able to just fold this up like so. Almost. I will press it. It doesn't say to, but I'm going to so that it stays. So here is the sleeve to my dress. There will be one of my buttons right here. It's supposed to fold out like this with a button attached where my fingertips are. And that's how it will look. All right, I will finish my other sleeve and then I'll be back for our next step. The next step for making my dress is putting the collar together. So I'm gonna go step by step and make this collar because I've never done this before. So it says, if your dress has a collar, now's the time to construct it. The book has 2 collar options, a Peter Pan collar and a shirt collar. I have the shirt collar, so we will be following the shirt collar. Make sure you have 2 pairs of the collar pattern piece cut out. 1 pair should be interfaced. For the upper collar, the uninterfaced is the under collar. So I do have 2 pairs here. They are interfaced on this side and neither are interfaced on this side. So we're good there. So this, the interface side is the upper collar, which is the side that faces out. Sew 1 upper collar piece to 1 under collar piece around the outer edges, matching notches. Notch seam allowance. Okay. I don't have notches on the outer edge. But they're lined up, so I guess I'll just do that. Trim and grade the seam allowance. Notch the seam allowance at the curved areas. Trim any bulk from the corners. Okay, so we'll go ahead and sew these up. I'm gonna do 1 whole collar side and then I'll go back and do the other one off camera. Trim and grade the seam allowances. So I will get my applique scissors again. Notch seam allowance around any curved areas. I need my other scissors. of times I make mistakes and cut through all the way through my stitching. And so I just fixed it by restitching it real quick. Okay, notched it. Trim any bulk from the corners. I'm going to turn it around, and then I will lay the collar flat on the ironing board with the under collar facing up. Press the under collar seam allowance toward the under collar so the seam is pressed open. Okay, hold on. I don't have much of this. I trimmed that. Press both seam allowances toward the under collar. Turn the collar right side out and press from underside, making sure the collar seam line rolls toward the under collar. Oh, okay. It wants me to press the seam and then turn it right side out and then repress the seam. So I will go ahead and do that and be back. All right, here is finished one collar piece. The next step for this piece is to baste both of the pieces to the bodice neckline, matching any symbols and notches. So I have to put this one together first before I can baste this to the bodice. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm not positive if the way I'm going to do this collar is going to be exactly right. But I'm gonna try because the directions call for a lining of the dress and I didn't want to line the dress. So I use the facings for the bodice that I have. So what I'll be doing is matching my shoulder seams, because that's all I have. I don't think I actually have notches on here because I don't remember that I cut them. So I will be matching my shoulder seams and stitching my facing right sides to my collar, and then understitching the seam allowance onto the facing and pressing the facing in, and then I'll probably have to hand stitch the facing onto the dress, but that'll be fine, so we'll figure that out. So that is what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I need to do my pinning first. I'm not going to do that on camera because that's going to take me a while. I will probably be back once I get this collar figured out, but that is the idea, is to pin on the facing, understitch, press it under, and then hand stitch the facing to the bodice as a finishing touch. So I will be back. Okay, I finally have the bodice just about done, except with everything except for all of the hand stitching that I have to do on it, which is the buttons, and I need to stitch the neck facing down at the shoulder seams and at the zipper once I get that in, and probably somewhere up front too, because it kind of wants to fold up. It took me forever to get this right. Last night I put this collar piece on wrong. It was backwards. And I had the facing on and everything, but the facing was giving me trouble because I had understitched it wrong, and I didn't realize that until late last night when I was thinking about it. But when I realized that the collar was done, I thought I was completely done with the bodice. When I realized the collar was wrong, I thought I was completely done with the bodice. So I was very, very upset. I just stopped sewing for the night. So this morning, I took the facing off. I switched the collar piece around because that had been basted in, and of course sewn in with the facing. And then putting the facing on, I had caught part of the shoulder in the facing and in the understitching, so some spots had to be taken out and re-sewn multiple times. So it took me minimum of 3 tries to get my neckline correct. So I'm quite happy with what I have right now. Oh, that's right, I just realized I'm gonna have 3 buttons right here, so that'll hold the front of the facing down quite well, actually. So this is where I'm at right now. Now I do get to move on though. There. My next step is the skirt, and I'm not going to do a lot on video of that because I've done it so many times in other videos. So I will come back probably when it's time to put in the zipper, because it might end up being a little bit different than I usually do. But for this skirt, I do have pockets, so that's my first step because they're side seam pockets. So I need to get those sewn into the seams, press those, and then when I sew the side seams of the skirt of the dress, then I'll obviously sew around the edge of the pocket, and all of that will be taken care of. And then I'll have to sew up I'll probably sew up the back middle of the dress before I do the side seams, but I'm not sure. We'll see. After I get the skirt all put together, the back side seam will be sewn up to where it says the zipper should be. We'll see. A lot of times I've been having to adjust this back seam, but that's okay. Then I will have to attach the skirt to the bodice, which you've seen me do many times because I do that for every single dress too, because, well, except for the one that I tried to have no waistline, that didn't really work. So I will go ahead and get to that point. So hopefully the next time you see me, I will have a dress and have to put in the zipper. So here's the final product. This dress has been done probably about a month. I've been wearing it a little bit and not too much though, because just like the last Gertie pattern, the bottom of the armhole is jammed right up in my armpit and the sleeve is quite tight. So I should have made a mock-up for this dress and the dress in my last week's video. Because then I would have known that the sleeves just don't fit quite right on my body and I need to adjust them. Other than that, however, I do really, really like it. I was not very happy that the collar and the neckline gave me so many issues, and then you can kind of tell with the button and the facing, I didn't get that together quite right, so it kind of pulls, but it is my first dress like this or collar like this, so I am really happy with how it's turned out. I learned a lot while I was making it, and I really do enjoy it. I actually throw this on sometimes with an orange cardigan when it's chilly like it is right now. However, I don't have it to show you. It looks really cute with the colors in the skirt. It really makes that orange come out, and the bodice part really makes the maroon pop when I have the orange cardigan on. So it's pretty nice, and it's a really good fall color dress. So thank you for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.